Messi, yes, the football superstar, was detained at Beijing airport. You heard it right, it's Messi, the one who has won multiple Ballon d'Or awards and can turn goalkeepers into statues with his shots. Do you know why? His visa had issues, and he was carrying a Spanish passport without a Chinese visa. Messi has dual nationality, Argentine and Spanish. I guess he might have thought, hey, I'm Messi, the football superstar, I can go anywhere without a visa, right? Yes, I didn't need a visa when I went to Taiwan last time. Then when he arrived in mainland China, the customs officer told him, this is not Taiwan. I guess Messi's expression at that time was like, are you kidding me? He asked, isn't Taiwan a part of China? Wow, this question really angered both Taiwanese and mainland Chinese netizens. This is not just a football topic but also a mix of geography, history, and politics. But do you know that Taiwanese passport holders can visit 146 countries without a visa, while Chinese passport holders can only visit 15 countries without a visa? I don't know about you, but I think this is a great opportunity. We can put a label on all Chinese passports, saying, I'm not a Taiwanese passport, I can't go to 146 countries. Of course, the official media in mainland China denied it, saying, no, Messi was not detained, he was just waiting for his teammate Otamendi. Then fans said, wait a minute, Otamendi and Messi were not on the same flight, they didn't even arrive on the same day. I don't know about you, but I think this explanation is a bit like, they are not eating, they are doing oral exercises. Well, I hope that next time Messi comes to China, he can figure out whether he is Argentine or Spanish and what the visa policies are for mainland China and Taiwan. If Messi is still unclear, I suggest he write a list on his passport of all the countries and regions he can visit without a visa. Because Messi, you need to remember that Taiwan you can visit without a visa is not a country. Let's all learn from our YouTube star Uncle Roger and say, Taiwan is not a real country. Taiwan is not a real country. However, Chinese customs officers told Messi, this is China, not Taiwan. So, is Taiwan not a part of China, and is it not a country? What is Taiwan exactly? Messi seems to have stumbled upon the world's most difficult question inadvertently. Do you have an answer? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section. Hello, everyone, I'm your news anchor Yali. We provide you with a one-stop shop for Chinese news reporting and comedy performances. We hope you can get your daily dose of Chinese news with laughter and joy. Recently, the Biden administration first denied and then admitted within a day that China has established a spy base in Cuba. Secretary of State Antony Blinken explained that the Trump administration did not do enough to counter China's efforts to strengthen its intelligence collection overseas after discovering that China has been operating a spy facility in Cuba since 2019. Blinken, who is expected to visit China this weekend, said that the Biden administration has taken cautious steps to counter China's efforts to collect intelligence through infrastructure in Cuba and other regions, through diplomatic means and other ways. It seems that China's spy activities are becoming more and more rampant, and the Biden administration is appeasing China again, allowing South Korean and Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturers to maintain their business in China. Will China's listening devices in Cuba affect Blinken's visit to China? White House National Security Council Coordinator Kobe answered a Voice of America reporter's question at a routine press conference on June 12, saying that he did not think it would. Blinken is expected to visit Beijing this weekend, and his previous visit to China was postponed due to the Chinese spy balloon incident. Cuba is a sensitive area for Americans, and China's military intelligence transactions with Cuba easily remind Americans of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. Wang Weizhong, Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences and Professor of Political Science at Edgewood College, said that now times have changed, and intelligence is different from missiles. It is estimated that the Biden administration does not need to be as aggressive as the Kennedy administration did back then. However, let's think about how we would feel if someone eavesdropped on our conversations at our doorstep. Next, we will talk about the competition between the United States and China in international organizations. UNESCO announced on the 12th that the United States applied to rejoin the organization and paid the membership fee after withdrawing for 5 years. According to reports, U.S. officials said that they wanted to counter China's growing influence in UNESCO's decision-making after the U.S. withdrew. The United States was once the largest contributor to UNESCO, accounting for 22%. Due to concerns that China would fill the void left by the United States in UNESCO's decision-making, especially in setting global standards for artificial intelligence and technology education, the United States has planned to rejoin the organization. China responded by calling on the U.S. to pay over $600 million in arrears. UNESCO Director General Azoulay said that the U.S. rejoining the organization would make it better. However, on the 11th, Arab countries and China held a business cooperation forum in Riyadh, hosted by Saudi Arabia. They said that China's demand for oil is still growing and that they want to deepen their economic and trade relations with Beijing, even inviting companies blacklisted by the US. This has attracted the attention of the United States. In the struggle between China and the United States, is Saudi Arabia taking sides? This reminds me of a saying, what happens in your friend circle, others may not see, but your friends will definitely see. As the United States tries to curb China's development in the field of artificial intelligence through sanctions, OpenAI CEO Altman chooses to engage with China. China has some of the world's best AI talent, Altman said. So I sincerely hope that China's AI researchers can make great contributions in this area. A recent survey released by a US think tank on Monday found that people in South Korea, Singapore, and the Philippines, which have close ties to China, generally expressed concerns about the escalating tension caused by US-China competition, but most people supported US intervention when regional sovereignty was violated. Recently, a study published by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute showed that as geopolitical tensions intensify, China and other countries have expanded their nuclear arsenals. The director of the institute, Dan Smith, said in an interview with Agence France Presse that the world is approaching or may have already reached the end of the long-term decline in the number of nuclear weapons. The increase in available nuclear warheads globally may end diplomatic efforts to reduce nuclear weapons over the past 30 years. Currently, the countries with the most nuclear weapons in the world are Russia and the United States, accounting for about 90% together, and China ranks third. Smith, the director of the institute, said that the number of available nuclear warheads globally is beginning to increase, and the increase is mainly from China, whose nuclear warhead reserve has increased from 350 to 410. This is a worrying trend. I think we should take more measures to prevent nuclear proliferation. Several Hong Kong people were suspected of being attacked by Chinese students in Southampton, UK after participating in a rally to commemorate the 4th anniversary of the June 12 incident. The local police confirmed to our station that the incident was a hate crime and caused 2 people to be slightly injured. The police are currently investigating the attack. However, there are online rumors that the alleged attacker has returned to China. Some Chinese netizens on Weibo praised the attacker's behavior because he waved the Chinese flag and declared that Hong Kong is China's. It seems that the image of Chinese companies and individuals in the international community is getting worse. The Dutch government is trying to legislate to ban Chinese students from participating in university courses involving sensitive technologies such as semiconductors and defense. Knowledge is like a weapon, it should not be given to others easily. Recently, a book titled No Escape: The True Story of China's Genocide of the Uyghurs has attracted widespread attention. This is a chilling topic. It seems that the treatment of ethnic minorities by the Chinese government is really getting worse. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security announced that from Monday, products from NASDAQ and its 8 subsidiaries in Zhuhai, China will be restricted from entering the United States because these companies have engaged in commercial activities targeting persecuted groups, including Uyghurs. I want to say, commercial activities can create wealth, but if this wealth is based on violations of human rights, then this wealth is guilty. The Süddeutsche Zeitung reported that in preparation for a war with Taiwan, Xi Jinping's goal is to achieve self-sufficiency in all economic sectors, from food production to high-tech industries, which has reduced China's attractiveness to Western companies. Due to increased risks, rising capital costs, and declining growth prospects, many Western companies in China have begun to look for other investment locations. The Mercator Institute for China Studies in Germany recently released a study pointing out that Beijing has always tended to use informal and non-public ways to economically coerce other countries in the past. The author analyzed several cases, including Lithuania, and pointed out that China has accelerated the introduction of the anti-foreign sanctions law, and the legal framework surrounding this law has given the Chinese government considerable discretion, allowing it to decide when, against whom, and what kind of sanctions to impose. This spring, China's cancellation of a large amount of U.S. grain imports has attracted market attention, and various speculations have emerged. Some believe that Brazil's record harvest of grains is more cost-effective, even if they pay a penalty for breach of contract. Switching to Brazilian products is still more cost-effective. However, some believe that this is also one of China's major trends in seeking to reduce its dependence on the United States. According to the Chinese state media People's Daily, Chinese President Xi Jinping emphasized during his inspection in Inner Mongolia that to build a new development pattern, the first thing is to do a good job in the domestic circulation, which is the fundamental solution. He also said that dual circulation does not mean closing the door to the outside world, but that when others do not open the door for us, we can still survive and live better. Do you think that domestic circulation is the fundamental solution? According to the Sunday Times in the UK, even before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, scientists at the Wuhan laboratory had collaborated with the Chinese military to create mutated viruses that could be used as biological weapons, but the virus leaked from the laboratory. This sounds like a plot from a Hollywood movie, doesn't it? China's military has recently interacted frequently with neighboring countries, but the smoke of the South China Sea is still thick. On Monday, the Chinese Ministry of Defense invited 74 military attachés and their spouses from 51 countries to visit Shaanxi province. Prior to this, the rotating ASEAN chair Indonesia had just announced that the 10 ASEAN countries will hold their first joint military exercise in the South China Sea in September this year. Japan's government will jointly launch a project with Southeast Asian countries to recycle minerals from waste electronic products. The first target country was determined in June, and experts were dispatched to provide technical guidance and conduct talent training. Another goal of diversifying procurement channels is to reduce Japan's dependence on China for important minerals. Recently, there have been reports that "Glory to Hong Kong" may become the first banned song in Hong Kong since 1841. It sounds a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? This reminds me of a saying, some people are always afraid to hear the truth, aren't they? However, Stanley, a Hong Konger in the US who participated in the singing event on Golden Silver Island, said that in the current environment in Hong Kong, even singing a song can be a problem, because this song represents the struggle of Hong Kong people for freedom. If we don't speak up overseas, Hong Kong people will have no chance to speak up again. On June 12, 4 years ago, a large number of protesters surrounded the Hong Kong Legislative Council to prevent the Hong Kong government from forcibly pushing the extradition bill. However, the protest was suppressed by Hong Kong police with tear gas and rubber bullets, becoming a symbolic day of the Hong Kong anti-extradition movement. Due to the influence of the Chinese government, US tech giants are gradually shutting out Hong Kong users, and the targets of Hong Kong government suppression of online dissent are shifting from individuals to platforms such as YouTube owned by Google. The co-founder of a technology company based in Hong Kong said that Hong Kong does not yet have the Great Firewall, but internet companies are stopping their services. He said, "It is very sad. Freedom of speech is a basic right, but some people seem to forget this." Let's talk about China-South Korea relations. Recently, South Korean reports said that Chinese warships are intensifying efforts to salvage rocket debris from North Korea's failed launch in the Yellow Sea, while an authoritative figure in the Korean semiconductor manufacturing industry is suspected of stealing Samsung Electronics technology to build a semiconductor manufacturing plant in China, causing Samsung at least 300 billion won in losses. China's interference in South Korea's domestic politics. The Chinese ambassador to South Korea's meeting with the opposition party speech sparked controversy, and South Korean protests escalated. Beijing continues to pressure Seoul, but the Korean side remains firm. "If you don't accept me, I won't accept you. Let's just keep not accepting each other." I think these events have an undeniable impact on China-South Korea relations. It seems that some people always like to mind other people's business, don't they? Chechnya has purchased Chinese armored vehicles, and there has been a sharp increase in the number of military aid to Russia through resale. This sounds like a prank, but it's true. Chechen leader Kadyrov posted a video online of Chinese-made armored vehicles, raising new questions about whether equipment from China could be used to support Russian military operations. Analysts say that the symbolic significance of these light armored vehicles, if they appear in Ukraine, may be greater than their military value, because these armored vehicles come from China, and China's position on the Russia-Ukraine conflict is closely scrutinized. In addition, the US has added 43 entities to its export control list, including companies that train military pilots for China. It seems that the US is also not very confident in China's military actions. Let's talk about the economic and trade relations between Taiwan and China. Recently, after the first batch of agreements were signed under the US-Taiwan 21st Century Trade and Investment Framework Agreement, the issue of whether Taiwan can adjust its heavy reliance on the Chinese market continues to be a concern. This is a good opportunity for Taiwan's industry to diversify and reduce its dependence on China. According to Hong Kong's Singdao Daily, China's ambassador to France, Liu She, will leave his position and return to China to serve as the president of the China People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries. It is said that Liu has been in France for 4 years, and the end of his term is normal. Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Deng Li may be appointed as the ambassador to France. Diplomats are like playing chess. If one makes a wrong move, the whole situation will be affected. Multinational public funds operating in China cannot tell their headquarters how much they invest in individual stocks, how the fund performs, or who their clients are. They cannot share investment research, join Zoom meetings, or use the global trading platform built by their parent company for millions of dollars. According to interviews with 12 industry insiders and consultants, the biggest obstacle is China's strict management of data sharing. Recently, there have been reports that China's marriage rate has dropped to its lowest point in history. What does this mean? Perhaps people are paying more attention to their personal lives rather than being controlled by the government. China's marriage rate has dropped to its lowest point in history, and many young people do not want to get married. This reminds me of a saying, love is not everything in life, but a life without love is like a body without a soul. China's Ministry of Civil Affairs released statistics for the fourth quarter of 2022 on June 9. However, the statistical report, which was delayed for months, did not include data on cremated remains as usual. Commentators believe that this may be because the number of deaths reached a new high from the fourth quarter of last year to the first quarter of this year, and the authorities have not yet decided how to release the death data to the public, so they have been reluctant to disclose it. While Western central banks continue to raise interest rates in an effort to bring down stubbornly high inflation, China faces the opposite problem. The risk of deflation is increasing. Economists say that while China may not fall into sustained deflation, policymakers need to take further action to avoid this risk and reinvigorate the economy, including options such as lowering interest rates and allowing the yuan to depreciate. A campus cafeteria at a university in Nanchang allegedly served a dish with a suspected rat head, while officials insist it was a duck neck. Is it a duck or a rat? The Jiangxi provincial government has set up a joint investigation team composed of the Provincial Department of Education, the Provincial Public Security Department, the Provincial State-Owned Asset Supervision and Administration Commission, and the Provincial Market Supervision Administration to investigate. At the same time, Chinese legal experts have issued a citizen's proposal, calling on the authorities to thoroughly investigate the matter and accept social supervision. Columnist Jackie Wang wrote that so far, China's retaliatory travel has mainly occurred within the country. The bottleneck faced by increasing international flights is a major factor hindering Chinese people from traveling abroad. This phenomenon may take some time to return to normal, much longer than many tourism-dependent companies initially expected. Chinese tourists who cut in line to take photos have been criticized for boasting that they will buy Hong Kong Disneyland for 2 million yuan. This reminds me of a saying, some people seem to think that money can buy everything. China's luxury goods market has emerged strongly in the slow recovery of the overall consumption market. Since this year, overseas luxury brands have frequently reported good news from the Chinese market, and China has welcomed a wave of visits by high-end brand executives. According to people familiar with Vietnam's manufacturing business, some factories of Apple suppliers and Samsung Electronics in northern Vietnam have received requests from local power companies to consider rotating power outages, or at least reducing electricity consumption during peak periods. This means that Vietnam still needs to solve some infrastructure problems before it can become a high-tech manufacturing base comparable to China. That's today's news update. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care everyone.